Hello, everybody, and I am Tracy Gold, and I'm taking over Jack's channels today so that we can chat with her about her amazing poetry book, Metamorphosis in Stanzas. Thank you so much, Jack, for having me on your show, on your channels.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for agreeing to bring your QVC expertise and real live hosting expertise to me. I greatly appreciate it. You're so good at it, and I know that whoever gets to watch this or whoever chooses to join us is really going to enjoy that part of it. So
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Jack. So, I just want to talk a little bit about the whole concept of poetry. So, automatically, if you are like me, you may be thinking, poetry? Like, I'm not generally a poetry person, but this is a book that takes you on this beautiful journey of transformation, emotional healing, and it's actually quite empowering. And so, Jack, before we even get into what inspired you to create this book, to write this book, I would love for you to read one of your favorite poems because I want our audience to actually experience your poetry.
That's a great idea, Tracy. Listen, I'm going to read a poem that I call a World in Three Crayons,
Mm,
because I don't know about you, but I often wish I had a lot more resources at my disposal when
mm.
I'm approaching a situation. But guess what, ladies? We're not necessarily given all of the tools that we need when we want them. And sometimes we just have to make do. And boy, do we learn how to do that in midlife, right? We learn
Yes.
how to make do. And so this is called A World in Three Crayons. In life we dream of vibrant hues, a box of crayons, vast to use. The 152 with colors bright, each shade defined, each line just right. With built-in sharpener to hone, we'd craft a masterpiece, our own. But often fate hands us a pack, three waxy crayons, colors lack. No goldenrod, no midnight blue, just red and green and one askew. With crayons from a diner's tin, we fight the fight with what's within. No time to sharpen, no grand display, just scribbles made in shades of gray. We armor up with what we hold, our tools are weak, but hearts are bold. And though we wish for hues untold, for palettes rich with silver, gold, we face the world with what we've got and hope to color life's blank spot. So here we stand, our crayons worn, with simple tools, our spirits torn. Yet in these lines, rough and undefined, a deeper beauty we still find. With just three crayons, dull and bare, we sketch our stories, choose to dare. Though colors bleed and lines mislay, the heart remains in light and play.
Wow. I mean, I have goosebumps. So,
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
and let me just say again, I'm not really a poetry person. Often I read poetry and it makes absolutely no sense to me. But what I love is how emotive it is, but also how real it is, Jack, because let's be honest, midlife is a tough time for a lot of us. There is lots of transformation. There is a lot of figuring out who we are again. We may have known who we were before, but so much changes. And then it's like, it's an opportunity for us to get to know ourselves again, to recreate ourselves, reimagine ourselves. But often we don't always feel like we have the colors, right? We don't
Yep.
have the tools. And so, Jack, tell us a little bit about the story behind this, your personal story behind this poem, because we'll get into it in a second. I know that you had a really rough time, and this has been the inspiration behind this. But what is the story behind this particular poem?
Well, this particular poem has a lot to do with the fact that I'm a solopreneur. I run a
Mm,
business called Cool Life, which my mission is to normalize aging for women. And doing it alone because I lost my business partner early on
Mm.
to colon cancer, and I promised her that I would, continue the quest. And
Wow.
as a solopreneur that is not heavily funded, as a matter of fact, it all comes out of my back pocket, so to speak. I don't have the 152 box of crayons to
Mm.
participate in this mission that I so want to be part of, and the sea change for women. And I'm doing it anyway with my box of diners crayons that are waxy. So Tracy, I see Diana has joined. Can I let her in?
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to let you in, Diana.
Hey, Diana.
Hey, I have actually just joined also from my laptop finally. So that might be better since I'm just holding my phone up. Sorry to be late and interrupt you.
That's okay. So go
No,
ahead,
no.
Jack. Continue about what you're saying about you're working with the crayons that you have, which are waxy and feel imperfect in lots of ways.
Right. But the reality is we all have that, right? We all are given whatever tools we have, and we don't always have the perfect tool every single time.
Yes.
And here's the deal. As we get older, we become more resilient. I know so many women in my age category that, you know, whatever crayon, they figure it out. Or no crayon. If they have to use a pencil,
Invent a crayon.
right? Or if they have to use a pencil, you know,
Mm.
the, and that's what I admire, and that's why I wrote the poem "A World in Three Crayons," because sure, it would be wonderful to have all the tools and have the beautiful colors, but what are you supposed to do if you don't have them? Just keep going, and
Yes.
that is a sign of resilience. And we just lost Diana, but hopefully she will be back.
That's okay.
So,
So I love that. I love that, Jack, because I think that's one of the beautiful things about getting older is that, I mean, I know for me, I'm 51, and I feel like I'm in a place in my life where, I've been around the block a couple of times. I've done various different things in my career. And so it allows me to go, okay, I'm going to figure it out. When we're younger, we're often, and I especially think in this modern world of social media showing everybody's highlight reel, we feel like we have to get it all perfect. I think as we get a little bit older, we go, F perfect, let's just do what we can do. And often that's where the magic is, right? That's where the real stuff is. So, speak to me a little bit about, Jack, the inspiration behind this poetry book and why poetry?
yeah, the poetry thing is weird. I'm not
It
gonna lie.
is.
No,
Like,
it's weird. And it's funny because I just got off a summit, a poetry summit, which if you had told me even a month ago that I'd be spending my Saturday afternoon with other poets, I'd tell you you're insane.
mm,
I'm an essay writer. I have been an essay writer for years. I have written under the umbrella Jack Smack for years. There's hundreds, I dare, out there.
mhm,
And I've always written about the trappings of midlife. And I think I'm pretty funny. I do it sort of with a tongue in cheek, irreverent attitude, and I make fun of myself. I poke fun of myself, and I try to what I what I my attempt is to let women know that they're not alone and that
mm,
I'm not that special. And the shit's happening to me, so it's probably happening to everybody, is my guess. And my goal is to unify us and make us feel less alone. What happened though, I started to write an essay book. I was going to write this big book, Jack Smack's essays. I was going to compile them. I had this great idea about how midlife was like jumping out of an airplane, which I've done, and like how it's such a free fall. And I had this whole arc and everything. Couldn't write the book. Couldn't do it.
mm,
Couldn't write the book. And then all of a sudden, I go to Istanbul for a month. My life completely unravels.
mm,
Um, I had realized I had been dealing with a low level depression for years about the empty nest situation. My son left for college, and I didn't realize it because at the time I was dealing with a skydiving injury. So I was very focused on my health and not processing losing him. But between losing my identity for a period of time and having to refigure it out, I also had some career setbacks. I had some family setbacks. I lost a very deep relationship with a lifelong friend. I'm hoping it's not lost forever, but so I just experienced this, just
Mm,
what felt like to me was just all this loss, and I had nowhere to process it or how to get it out. And so all of a sudden, I literally found myself like at 3 o'clock in the morning in front of my laptop, just writing poetry. The essays wouldn't come, but the poetry did. And I thought, well, I'll just lean into it, see what happens. I mean, and I did it. I did one poem every day for 30 straight days.
mm,
And that's what you get in here. And that's why it's called Metamorphosis, because that's what I went through. That process of writing a poem every day for 30 straight days helped me transition out of so much of my sadness. And
mm.
I wanted to put it together because if it helped me, I'm hoping that it'll help others, other women.
Yes. Yes, and Jack, the reality is not all of us are as good with words as you are, right? So you are a natural writer. In my opinion, I think that you're a natural writer. And so, but the way that you've put this together, I mean, there's just so much emotion in it. It's palpable. It makes me feel like it brings up a lot of emotion for me. And again, let me say to those who are listening, if you're not a poetry person, I'm with you. Because most times it doesn't make sense to me, but this stuff is really incredible. And I think also what is very powerful about this book is that it makes us midlife women feel seen and that we're not alone. I think that's one of in all the work that I've done with midlife women, one of the biggest fears that we often have is that we're going to become invisible. And I think this poetry book, makes us realize we're not invisible and we're absolutely not alone.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Diane. I think I just cut you off.
No, I was just accentuating that feeling and that your raw, authentic voice was so clear to me, as I told you in our conversations. Almost every single one of them, just it was like you're been eavesdropping on my heart, So I'm just blown
Wow.
away by what you've done. Really
Yeah.
blown away.
So, Jack, tell us the themes that you have covered in the book because I think, we're all at different stages of our lives. Some of us are actually in a really good, happy space. So, is this book just for somebody who, like, oh, I'm in a happy space, I don't need it? Or is
I
it,
don't I don't
give
think
me a sense?
so. I don't think so because I don't think a happy state is a permanent state. We're constantly in flux. You know what I mean? Oh my God, if I could arrive at happy and just park my little car on that spot on the Monopoly board and not move again, I would love that. But
Yes.
as far as I know, there is no spot that's the happy spot. I mean, we visit it every now and again, but it's just a constant
Mhm.
fluctuation. And I
So
think
what you're saying, Jack, is that it's a tool to have in your toolbox because the reality is of life is that even if you're in a happy spot, there will be areas that you may be working on yourself or areas of struggle. And so you can go to that part of the book to get some kind of insight, some way of getting in touch with that emotion. And also I'm aware that it would be a great journaling opportunity. So sometimes reading the words and then what comes up for me, how do I feel as I'm reading that? What kind of revelations come up for me? I'm sure there's so many different ways that you could utilize this book.
absolutely, absolutely. And I address um, sort of these are the sort of areas I address. I address beginnings and rebirth, and I also address some of life cycles and
Mm,
struggles. I delve a little bit into family and parenting. I write one poem about parenting an adult child. It's called Untethered Threads. I deal with friendship and connection, the loss
mm,
of a friend, the loss of my business partner. I also, the one I read about the world in three crayons, that's more the seeking and craving, right? That's the more of like,
mm,
okay, what's not 100% right and why isn't it? And then I have a chapter, my last chapter is closure and acceptance,
Mm,
which we all need. And it's closure and acceptance doesn't happen once. It's a as a matter of fact, none of these happen once. It's a
Mm.
continual cycle. We go through it all the time, over and over again.
mm,
And that's what I think is magical about this book, personally, for me.
mm,
I,
mm.
can I just jump in quickly? Because
Yes.
one of the things that was profound to me is not just the authenticity of your voice and the relatability to any of us at any stage in midlife. You know, I'm in my 60s, you guys are in your 50s, um, unless Jack, you hit 60.
I hit 60, girl.
But 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 it really, really helped me. There were so many quotable lines, and I'm forgetting the
Mm,
poem that this was a part of, but to me, this is one of the strongest lines. Strength grows in the face of adversity, challenge us, shape us into who we're meant to be. And so many times we get dragged down by a life disruption. You mentioned empty nesting, health, health disruptions. It is these transitions that come out of adversity, like you said.
mm,
So I love the quotable moments. So even if I'm not reading every single poem and sharing them, actively with friends, there's so many one-liners or two-liners that are powerful. So your words are so clear. And so I have to go back to an earlier description of what happened when you decided in Istanbul to go from essay book, that you'd been working on to poetry. Was there a specific moment that led you to write a poem? How did it come out of you? What happened?
So it's funny because I have a poem about that, but it's not in the book. But I have a poem about why I'm writing poems right now. And the nut of it is, it's like Mark Twain said, sorry for the long letter. I didn't have time to write you a short one. And now at midlife and beyond, I'm running out of time. I don't have forever. And so I am looking for the most economical way of getting my emotions and
Mm,
thoughts and ideas and lessons across. And if I can do it in 4 lines in a stanza rather than 200 or 300 words in a paragraph, why wouldn't I choose that? Because you don't have time to read 200 words in a paragraph, but you might have time to read 4 lines in a stanza. Or if you don't like to read it because it just doesn't make sense to you, guess what? You can have me read it to you, because every single poem has a QR code, and you can listen to me read the poem if it's something
mm,
that you would prefer
mm.
from a how you want to experience the book.
Jack, what I love about what you're saying as well is that in a way you're using an old-fashioned methodology, but in a modern way. Because let's be honest, I mean, we do know because of social media, our attention span has come
mm.
down to very little. And it would be lovely for us to be more present and do all, but that's a lot of work sometimes,
Yes.
especially for a woman at midlife, because she is straddling so many different roles. We're like, it's like a juggling act, right? And so what I love about what you're doing is you're meeting us where we're at with these stanzas. You're saying,
Mhm.
hey girl, I know you're busy. I also know you're fraught with emotion. I know that this time is hard and sometimes exciting and sometimes challenging and sometimes like in a space of acceptance. I'm just going to meet you where you're at,
Mm.
help you get in touch with that, give you some encouragement, and it won't take too much time. The
Well, because
inner work, of course, will take the time, but the little bit of inspiration, and I mean, surely we can, as women, give ourselves just a little bit of time every day to reflect, right?
Absolutely.
to reflect where we are, to give ourselves, and I think that's the wonderful thing. Jack, I don't know about you, Diane, I don't know about you, but just this week I had an experience where I realized signing a contract and setting up agreement for how I'm going to work. And I'm like, okay, I need vacation time in the year. I'm working 5 days. These 2 days, I will not be available. I live in New York. That's very unusual. And it struck me because I was like, at this stage of my life at 51, taking care of myself is not negotiable and it's
Mm.
not a luxury. It's a necessity.
100%. 100%.
And I
Yes.
feel like what you're offering us as women at midlife is an opportunity to take better care of ourselves. We often think of self-care as in, oh, I want to go get a facial. I like go and have my hair done. Those are wonderful, but this is a different kind of self-care.
Well, I think also, just knowing Cool Life and what you have put together with love. I mean, really love. It's not like your typical business website. You can see it a mile away, those websites that are about, ooh, let's see how much money I can make. It is clear. Your why is clear. And to be able, you said it earlier today when I was just listening in, but to find a way to broaden the inspiration that is so important to us at this time. There are the activists that are, anti-ageism activists, and then there are the inspirational women like yourself
Mm.
who are basically saying, link arms, join us, come together. We are going to live. I love this poet, Mary Oliver. Her quote just slays me every time. In our one wild and precious life. And you know me, I'm just getting to know you, Tracy, but I honestly have never been happier in my life. It took a lot of SHAT to go through to get there, but I believe at this stage, and this is what you're inspiring us all to do, is realize that every bump in the road is creating and helping us come home to who we are. And I love your metamorphosis in stanzas. I love your authentic sharing. And, you've encouraged me, who've never been a poet, to try and to try
Oh,
to
that's beautiful,
articulate
Diane.
my
Oh, sorry.
feelings, because I don't have ADHD. Maybe I do. But like you say, Tracy, I don't have time to listen to fabulous podcasts or read gorgeous articles. I wish I did, but I devoured your book and devoured your poems. So thank you.
Amazing. Diane, can I ask you a question? So what is one of your favorite poems in the book?
I don't have a hard copy yet, so I don't remember the name.
It's
But
in the mail.
the
It's in the mail. Sorry about that. I tried
no,
to get it to you
please,
soon,
no.
but it's in the mail.
You graciously sent me a preview, and I don't have the names in my brain. But the quote that I cited earlier about how change and adversity shapes who we truly are. And I don't know if you remember that, but to me, my whole message to women is around embracing possibility
Mm,
and not and our power to choose how
mm.
we handle anything. So Jack
I'm
picked one that
I'm wondering if that's not my poem because I can't find it.
you know
But I
what.
think, but what's interesting though, what's very interesting is that Diane has been able to take something from there that she's holding on to.
Oh,
I mean, how many times we read things and don't even remember them again or don't think about them again? She's holding on. So she's probably put it in her own words. So it's not the exact words, Jack, but
those weren't
that's
your
the
words.
feeling she
No,
got.
but oh my
Yeah,
God. I
that's the feeling, right, Diane?
So can you read one of your favorites that is, for us? Because I love your voice and I love to hear them.
I'm going to read one that's one of my favorites. It's a little dark, but it is still one of my favorites. It's called The Illusion of Choice.
Hmm.
I walk beneath a shroud of lies, deceit like mist before my eyes. I told myself love was a choice, a reasoned plan, a careful voice, as though my heart had solved the sum of loving you where logic's from, as though I weighed the pros and cons and found you in the rights and wrongs.
Mm.
But love, it seems, defies my will, a force that bends my reason still. It springs like thirst, like hunger's plea, an ache that swells, imprisoning me. Anecdotes, memories, values aligned, each seeming chance, a hidden sign.
Mm.
Not mere coincidence, but fate's decree to prove that love was meant for me.
Mm.
Embedded in my soul's design, woven there through space and time. I chuckle now at my own plight, to think I could resist this fight, to think that I could just let go, as if my heart could cease to know.
Mm.
Instead, I learn to walk the line, to live without, yet know you're mine.
Mm, that's
Wow.
beautiful. So, Jack, where can we get this book? How much is
Um,
it?
okay, it's
I need it now.
14.99. Okay, it's 14.99. There's a
Okay.
QR code right on the screen.
I love
Um,
it.
and in the pre-order, in this particular QR code, you'll get the paperback, but you'll also get these 10 inspirational digital cards that have an inspiring quote on it. But what's kind of cool and very different and novel is that each one of them has a QR code to one of my poems. So you can gift someone a poem. Like, who does that? What a weird, novel, quirky thing to give someone. Hey, I thought of
I
you.
love that.
Here's a poem, you know?
Listen,
And then
listen, yeah, yeah.
and then we also and I also throw in the ebook when it comes out. And it's all
Okay.
$14.99. I mean, literally, it's not going to break the bank. And it's 30 poems. I
That's
also
incredible.
include at the end of each chapter, I do include a little blurb with my reflections about where the poem comes from. So
Mm.
I think between my reading it and the reflections and the fact that, trust me, if you're over 40, you've had some of this stuff happen to you already. You're in it, you're about to go in it. So,
Yeah. So for those of you who are not that au fait with technology, I just want to talk you through it a little bit. So if you are watching this on an iPad or even on your iPhone or even on your your computer, just take a screenshot and that way you can go, because if you're just watching on one device and you don't have another device handy, like if I have another device handy, so I could actually scan the QR code while you're watching here. If you do not have a device handy, just take a screenshot and then you can go and get a device and actually do that. Also, Jack, is there an easy URL we could just go to,
if you
a
go to
website?
the real Jack Smack, you'll be able to find it. Or Cool Life. It's on the homepage of Cool Life because
Okay,
guess
I
what?
like that idea
Cool,
because Cool Life is a
Cool
good
Life's
website.
Cool Life's my gig. So I took liberties with Cool Life and put my book on there.
Yes. And so
Cool.
you can Google Cool Life, but it is spelled Kuel. So it's
Right.
Kuel
Mm-hmm.
life.com. But even if you just Google Cool Life, you'll find Jack's website. And both Diane, you write for Cool Life as well, right? You're a contributor. Yes.
I do. I have been a little remiss,
Yeah,
but
you do. You do.
so
Yes,
this is the
you
thing.
are a
I'm going
Cool
to
Life
start
thought
writing
leader.
my poems for cool. You've inspired me.
That's amazing. So on there you can find, I've got fashion advice that I give every week. And Diane writes, there's over 50, what is there, 60 people, I think,
Over
Jack?
65 thought
Over
leaders
65
from
thought
all over the
leaders.
world. I mean,
Yes,
these women are powerhouses. I am so grateful
yes.
that they have that they believe in this mission and that they want to be part of it.
Yes,
Not to mention all these amazing friends that I've gotten too, including
yes,
you two. Like, how
yes.
exciting is that?
I know. And just from my side, I just want to say, speak to those women over 40 who are feeling like they're on their own. First of all, Cool Life is a great place to start because I think that reading the articles makes you realize, hey, we all have similar struggles. We're asking similar questions. I think that's one of the things. Second of all, this book is really going to give you that kind of heartfelt feeling that you are not alone, that somebody else knows how you're feeling. And it's a great way to either journal or just reflect or read it and run out of the door, whichever way it suits you for the day. It's a wonderful gift for any mother, for any daughter, any of the, I mean, your friends. I think your friends are going to love it. And then also just to say that we have some very exciting things coming in the pipeline. So make sure to follow Cool Life and follow Jack because there's going to be some amazing ways that you can get more connected if you're needing community. I feel like both Jack and Diana, I feel like now is the time, even more so, unlike any other time before, where
Yes.
us women need to pull together to stand up for our own rights, to stand together in community, and to know that we are worthy and
Yes.
we are seen.
Yes.
Absolutely. Tracy,
Okay.
thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So use the QR code. Again, you can take a little screenshot if you need to go and get another device to get it. You can get it on coollife.com. That's KUEL life.com. Or just Google it. You'll find Jack. She's everywhere. Easy to find on social media. And Jack, also just make sure to put the link inside of the on YouTube, LinkedIn, go back and just put the link so that they can get that directly as well. Thank
We'll
you
do.
so much for this lovely, inspiring, enlightening conversation. Jack, thank you for being so vulnerable to share your metamorphosis with us so that we can experience the kind of healing and empowerment that we need this time of life. Thank
Mm.
you so much.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Diana. Love you both.
Love you too. Have a
Bye.
beautiful day. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.